Like serious actor. Put Emma front and center, and that's it.
I'm a very serious actor.
How do I tell if we're live?
It says that we're live.
Yeah,
Okay.
Rabbit Womat's in here. Hi, Womat.
What's
Thanks
up?
for coming to
Hello.
my island and
What up?
watering my flowers. I appreciate it.
We are live.
I got so many flowers. It was insane.
Listen,
Oh, there we go.
I still have an unclaimed plot on my island, but I am out of Nook tickets.
I told you, Andy's going hunting tomorrow. But when are you going?
Gloria's leaving tomorrow, so I gotta go.
Yeah.
Do you know who asked me if they should leave today? And I said, abso-fucking-lutely not.
Julian?
Yes.
You know you can reset it too, right?
You should have said yes so I could come slurp them up.
No, he's fine. Julian is my neighbor.
I'm gonna grab my tea real quick. I'm so sorry.
I have a command I can do for today.
Yeah.
Go. Cool.
Tight.
Tweet.
All right.
Yay. My tea.
All right. So what are we here to do? We're gonna do a play.
Well, click the live button, Scott.
Which button?
Go live.
We are live.
Yeah. Oh.
You and Pete.
We in there.
I can turn your little screen off.
I was gonna say I'm
Let's kick her ass out.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah. I'm freaking ready. I have not performed any Greek tragedy at all since college, so this is a muscle I have not flexed in a long time.
I'm excited.
All right. Well, tonight, wherever you are in the world, we are going to perform Sophocles' Ajax. This happens to be my favorite of the Greek tragedies. There are a bunch of them that we still have, but this one is near and dear to my heart. So just a brief background. First of all, we have a few content warnings. Now, Greek tragedies are heavy subjects. This one especially deals with the aftermath of war and how a Greek warrior would try to keep his honor in difficult circumstances. So among the things that will be talked about tonight are misogyny, description of animal sacrifices, and mutilation, a little bit of mutilation and murder done to animals and people. It's all descriptive, though. We're not actually seeing it happen. And there is suicide.
I don't know. He might get it.
Oh no, Andy!
So I do want to let everybody know that there are some heavy subjects that will be discussed here tonight. Now,
Are we concerned for people that join us late in the game?
Bug him.
Got it.
It's pretty fine. It should be.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I should have mentioned that sooner. It's all good. Everything's fine.
okay.
We could build a Nightbot timer
Yeah.
that warns people.
So
We're
the
okay.
stream title
People know the
says,
Greek tragedies.
it
We all
says
read them in
Scott
high
Rubin.
school.
Yeah, that's true.
Should I change the stream title?
What?
The stream title on Twitch says Scott Rubin.
Oh, that's the title. of the
Great
thing.
title,
Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying. But
That is cute. That is
Yeah,
so
change it, Andy.
cute.
No, because it tells you for two titles. So I that's my fault because I misguided you when you asked what title was.
Oh,
so the
I
initial
see,
one
I
was
see.
that. Yeah.
Janelle, you ruined
Got it.
everything.
I know.
You're
Thank
out of
you so
here.
much.
Next Christmas, dude.
I am very much learning when it comes to hosting and turning things on.
Andy's
my own
changing
channel.
it. Don't you worry. We got it.
Okay, cool. Thank you. All right. So what do we need to know when we enter Sophocles' Ajax? Well, we are during the Trojan War, and we are in the 10th year of the war. War has been going on seemingly forever. Heroes have come, heroes have died. We have just seen the death of Achilles, the greatest hero on the Greek side. Now, let's go a little bit over who's who. Who are we going to see in this play? Well, we're going to see the goddess Athena, played by the amazing, incomparable Bert.
Yeah, Bert!
Thank you so much for being here, Bert.
Dynamic.
Yeah.
The goddess of
Taking on-
war and wisdom.
Yes,
And that sweet
exactly.
Emma Frost voice. Just
Just
kidding.
like you always dreamed.
Yes.
We will see Odysseus, one of the kings, one of the leaders of the Greeks. Not necessarily the best warrior, but very good at talking his way in and out of things. And I will be portraying Odysseus.
Very cool.
Next, we have Ajax, the subject of the play,
All right.
played by Andy tonight. Ajax
Shocking.
is Ajax, we hear from Homer, is the second greatest warrior of the Greeks, just after Achilles.
So now number one.
Now number one.
Now he's number one.
With the death of Achilles, the major thing that happened after Achilles was killed is that his armor was given to the next greatest warrior. Now, obviously, that should have been Ajax, but Odysseus scheming with Agamemnon and Menelaus, it went to Odysseus instead. Ajax, not happy about it.
Nah, son.
We have the chorus of Salaminian soldiers and sailors, played by Emma Fyffe.
Mostly me.
And, mostly, yes. We'll have a couple of other people jumping in with the chorus as we go. Now we have Tecmessa, Ajax's wife, quote unquote wife, a concubine, a war wife taken during the battle.
You bastard! It's me, Janel Santa Cruz.
That's played by Janel, yes. Then we have a messenger come to deliver dire news, who will be played by Jessica. Also, Teucer, Ajax's half-brother, also be played by Jessica.
Nice.
And then we have that dastardly duo, Menelaus and Agamemnon, brothers, leaders of the Greek side. I will be taking on the role of Menelaus, and Bert will be Agamemnon.
They're really the worst. Agamemnon and Menelaus both.
They are
suck.
such the worst.
Yeah.
Spoilers. Okay. A couple quick things. In this play, Greeks are not referred to as Greeks. In the ancient times, they were Argives, Danaans, Dardanians. There are a bunch of other terms for them, but you're not going to hear the word Greeks. It may pop up once or twice, but so in context, you'll know who is who. And so again, Ajax is feeling like his glory and honor was taken from him. He is enraged, and no one knows what he might do. So the play begins in Greek. I men, o pi lartiu, dedorka se peiron tin ekthron arpasai theromenon. Take it away, Athena.
Right. Odysseus, I keep seeing you prowl around, seeking by stealth to gain the upper hand against your enemies. And now, by these huts, at one end of the army where Ajax has his camp beside the ships, for some time I've been observing you as you track him down, keeping your eye fixed on his fresh-made trail to find out whether he is inside or not. Like a keen-nosed Spartan hunting dog, your path is taking you straight to your goal. The man has just gone in, his head and arms dripping with sweat after the butchery he's just carried out with his own sword. So, you don't need to peer inside the doors. What are you so eager to discover here? Why not tell me? You can learn the answer from someone who knows.
Athena's voice, of all the gods, the one I cherish most. How clear you sound. I cannot see you, but I hear your words. My mind can grasp their sense like the bronze call of an Etruscan trumpet. And you are right, you see me circling around, tracking down that man who hates me, shield-bearing Ajax. I've been following his trail a long time now. Just him, no one else. During the night, he's done something inconceivable to us, if he's the one who did it. We're not sure. We don't know anything for certain. So I volunteered to find out what's gone on. We've just discovered all of our livestock killed, our plunder butchered by some human hand, and with them too the men who guard the herd. Everyone blames Ajax for the slaughter. What's more, an eyewitness who saw him striding by himself across the plain, his sword dripping with fresh blood, informed me of it and told me what he saw. I ran off at once to pick up his trail, and I'm following the tracks, but it's confusing. Sometimes I don't know whose prints they are. So you've come just in time, for in the past and in the days to come, your hand has been and will remain my guide.
I am aware of that, Odysseus. That's why, for some time, I have been keen to come to you as a watchman on your hunt.
Well then, dear lady, I will what I'm doing here have good results?
I'll tell you this. Ajax did those killings, as you suspected.
But why would he do that? Why turn his hands to such a senseless act?
The weapons, the armor of Achilles, it made him insanely angry.
But then why would he slaughter all the animals?
He thought he was staining both his hands with the blood from you.
You mean this was his plan against the Argives?
Yes. And it would have worked if I had not been paying attention.
How could he have done something so reckless? How could his mind have been so rash?
At night, in secret, he crept out alone, looking for you.
How close was he? Did he get his target?
He reached the camp of both commanders. He made it right up to their double gates.
If he was so insanely keen for slaughter, how could he prevent his hands from killing?
I stopped him. I threw down into his eyes an overwhelming sense of murderous joy and turned his rage against the sheep and cattle and those protecting them, the common herd which so far has not been divided up. He launched his attack against those animals and kept on chomping down and slaughtering the ones with horns by slicing through their spines until they made a circle all around him. At one point, he thought he was butchering both sons of Artemis. He had them in his hands. Then he went at some other general and then another. As he charged around in his sick frenzy, I kept encouraging him, kept pushing him into those fatal nets. And then, when he took a rest from killing, he tied up the sheep and cattle still alive and led them home, as if he had captured human prisoners, and not just animals. Now, he keeps them tied up in his hut and tortures them. I'll let you see his madness in plain view here, so you can witness it, and then report to all the Argives. Be brave. Do not back off or look upon this man as any threat to you. I will avert his eyes, so he will never see your face. You in there, the one who's tying up his prisoner's arms, I'm calling you. I'm shouting now for Ajax. Come on out here, outside the hunt, in front.
Athena, what are you doing? Don't call him. Don't bring him out here.
Just be patient. Don't run the risk of being called a coward.
For God's sakes, don't do it. Leave him be. Let him stay inside.
What's the matter with you? He was just a man before this, wasn't he?
Yes, and in the past, he was no friend of mine, and especially now.
But the sweetest laughter comes from mocking enemies. Is that not true?
Still, I'd much prefer he stayed inside the hut.
You hesitate to see before your eyes someone in a raving fit?
Yes, I do. If he were fully sane, I'd not avoid him or hesitate.
But he won't see you now, not even if you stand beside him.
Well, how will that happen if he can still see with his own eyes?
His eyes see very well, but I will make them dark.
Well, it is true. A God's work can make all things possible.
Stand here, then, and stay quiet.
I'd better stay, although I'd have preferred to keep my distance.
You in there, Ajax! I'm calling you again. Why show your ally so much disrespect?
Ajax enters from the hut. He is carrying a bloody whip with which he has been lashing the cattle inside.
Welcome, Athena. Welcome, child of Zeus. You have given me so much assistance. In gratitude for those I've captured, I'll offer you a crown, presents of pure gold.
That's nobly spoken. But tell me this. Did that sword of yours slake itself on blood when you attacked the Argive army?
Yes, that I can boast about. I don't deny it.
You went after the two sons of Artemis with that weapon in your fist?
Indeed I did. They'll not dishonor Ajax anymore.
So, as I understand you, those men are dead.
Yes, dead. Let them rob me of my weapons now.
I see. Well, what about Lauderus' son? As far as you're concerned, where does he stand? Did he escape you?
That damned slimy fox. You ask me where he is?
Yes, I'm asking. I mean, that enemy of yours, Odysseus.
My favorite prisoner, lady, sits inside. I don't want him to die just yet.
But when? What further actions do you have to do? And what advantage will you gain by that?
Not before he's tied up to a pillar. The main one holding up the roof in there.
What harm will you inflict on this poor man?
I'll whip his back blood red. Then I'll kill him.
Don't abuse the poor man so viciously.
You can follow your desires, Athena, and all other things. That I will concede. But this is the price he's going to pay, not something else.
All right. Since it pleases you, give that arm of yours some exercise. Don't stop. Do what you have planned.
Then I'll get back to work. And I'll leave you with this request from me. Always stand beside me as my ally, the way you did today.
Ajax goes back into his hut.
Do you see, Odysseus, how powerful the gods can be? Could you find anyone more sensible than Ajax? A man with more ability to carry out, in every situation, the most appropriate action.
No one I know. All the same, although he despises me, I pity his misfortune under that yoke of catastrophic madness. It makes me think not just of his fate, but of my own as well. I see that in our lives, we are no more than phantoms, insubstantial shadows.
Well then, now you've seen his arrogance, make sure you never speak against the gods, or give yourself ideas of your own grandeur. If your strength of hand or heaped up riches should outweigh some other man's, a single day pulls down any human scale of fortune or raises it once more. But the gods love men who possess good sense and self-control, and despise the ones who are unjust.
Athena and Odysseus leave. Enter the chorus, sailors from Salamis and followers of Ajax.
Son of Telamon,
Telamon.
who hold the throne
on
on wave-washed
wave-washed
Salamis
Salamis
by the
beside
sea. I rejoice with you when things go well. But when a blow from Zeus or angry words from slanderous Danaans are aimed at you, then I hold back in fear and shake with terror like the fluttering eye on a feathered dove. I'm like that now. In the night that's passing, there were noisy rumors thrown against us, against our honor, saying that you went off into the meadow where our horses ranged together with spoils. Our spears had captured prizes, which had not yet been allotted, and butchered them with that bright sword of yours. Such slanderous report Odysseus shapes and whispers into every soldier's ear. Many men believe him, for he now speaks persuasively about you, and everyone who listens is filled with spite and pleased that you have come to grief even more than is the man who told them. Throw a spear at some great soul and you will never miss, but if someone said things like that of me, he'd never be believed. Envy creeps up against the man of wealth and power, and yet with the great, we lesser men are fragile ramparts in our defense. It's best for small men to ally themselves with greatness and for the powerful to be supported by the lesser men. But teaching foolish people such good sense ahead of time is not possible. So men like this are now denouncing you, and we do not possess sufficient power to deflect those charges, not without you, not without our king. With you out of their sight, they keep on chattering like flocks of birds, but unexpectedly speared, they would be terrified as if they faced a mighty eagle, and soon would cower down and hold their tongues in silence. But it is the goddess Artemis, bull-tending child of Zeus, who drove you at the common herd. Oh, mighty rumor, mother of my shame. Was it perhaps in retribution for a victory where she received no tribute, splendid weapons she was cheated of? Or did some hunter kill a stag and set no gifts aside for her? Or has Menelaus, bronze-plated god of war, with reason to complain about an armed alliance, taken revenge for such an insult by a devious stratagem at night? For with your own mind, O son of Telamon, you'd never go so far the path of ruin as to attack the flocks. But nothing can prevent a sickness which the gods implant. I pray that Zeus and Phoebus Apollo will stave off this catastrophe, this disastrous rumor of the Argives. And if great kings are slandering you now with stories full of lies, or it is the man that, born from the worthless line of Sisyphus, do not, my lord, take on the grievous weight of a dishonored reputation by remaining here, hiding your presence in this hut by the sea. Up now, from where you sit, wherever you've been for so long in your pause from battle, you are fueling a fire of disaster blazing up to the heavens. Your enemy's insolence keeps charging on quite fearlessly. whipped by the favoring winds through forest thickets, while every soldier wags his tongue and laughs and jeers. They bring us grief and reinforce our sorrows.
Enter Tecmessa, Ajax's concubine.
You men, shipmates of Ajax, son of the race of earth-born Erechtheus, all of us who love the distant house of Telamon are in despair. For now our master Ajax, our great and terrifying and forceful king, lies suffering from tempestuous disease.
What heavy grief has come during the night to change the troubles we had yesterday? Daughter of the Phrygian Teleutus, speak to us. Though bold Ajax won you fighting with his spear, he still maintains a strong affection for you, so you may know and offer us an answer.
How can I tell a story much too terrifying for words? You will hear of suffering as harsh as death. Last night madness seized our glorious Ajax, and now he has been totally disgraced. You can see everything inside his hut, the blood-soaked, butchered victims who were killed as sacrifices at his very hands.
The news you tell us of our fiery king we cannot bear, yet there's no escape. It's what the powerful Danans say, what their great storytelling spreads around. Oh, how I fear what's coming next. This man is going to die in full public view. With black sword in those mad hands of his, he massacred the herd and herdsmen too, the ones who ride to guard our animals.
Alas, from those fields he came to me right after that, leading his captive beasts. On the floor, there he slit some of their throats, struck others in the ribs, tore them apart. He grabbed 2 rams, the legs on both were white, cut of the head on one and sliced its tongue right at the tip, then threw the parts away, and lashed the other upright on the pillar. He seized a thick strap from a horse's harness and flogged it with a whistling double lash. He was cursing with an awful violence, not human words, ones a god had taught him.
The time has come for us to hide our heads and steal away on foot, or take our seats, each man at his swift oar, and let our ship sail out on her seaworthy way. Those threats our 2 commanders, sons of Atreus, keep hurling at us are so serious. I am afraid of savage death by stoning, sharing the suffering of the man in there, struck down with him, now in the grip of fate, his own inexorable doom.
No, he's no longer like that. He's grown calm, like a sharp south wind that rushes past without a lightning flash. He's easing off. Now he's sane again, but in new agonies. To look at self-inflicted suffering when no one else played any part in it brings on great anguish.
If he's no longer mad, I'm confident that things may be all right, for when disaster has already passed, it doesn't have such much significance.
But if you had a choice of causing grief to your own friends while feeling good yourself, or of grieving to a suffering man among a common sorrow, which would you choose?
The double grieving, lady, is far worse.
So at this moment, we, although not sick, are facing disaster.
What does that mean? I do not understand what you're saying.
That man in there, when he was still so ill, enjoyed himself while savage fantasies held him tight in their grip. But we were sane, and since he was one of us, we suffered. But now there is a pause in his disease. He can recuperate and understand the full extremity of bitter grief. Yet everything for us remains the same. Our anguish is no milder than before. This is surely not a single sorrow, but a double grief.
I think that's true. I fear a blow sent from God has struck him. How else could this take place if his spirit is no more hopeful now that he's been cured than when he was sick?
That's how things stand. You must see that.
How did his illness start? How did this trouble first swoop down on him? Since we share your pain, tell us what happened.
You are all involved in his, and so you'll hear the entire story. At some point in the night, when the evening torches had stopped burning, Ajax took up his 2-edged sword, resolved to set off on a senseless expedition. I challenged him and said, "What are you doing? Ajax, why are you going out like this? There's been no summons, no messenger, nor any trumpet call. All the army is now sleeping." His reply to me was brief, the old refrain, "Women, the finest thing that females do is hold their tongues." So I, taking my cue from that, did not respond, and he charged out alone. I cannot say what went on from there, but he came back and took his chained-up prisoners inside, all linked together, bulls and herding dogs and captured sheep. He cut the heads off some. He twisted back the skulls of other beasts and cut their throats or chopped their spines. Others whom he kept tied up, he tortured. And if they were human beings, even though it was only beasts he was attacking. At last, he charged out through the doorway and forced out some words of conversation with the shadow. Sometimes he'd talk about the sons of Atreus, at other times about Odysseus with manic laughter at how by going out he had avenged all their arrogance and fool. After that, he rushed back in the hut again, and there he gradually regained his sense somehow, though not without an effort. Once he saw his room filled up with that deluded slaughter, he struck his head and howled. Then he collapsed, a ruined man among so many ruins, carcasses of slaughtered sheep. He sat there, fist gripping his hair with his nails clenched tight. For a long time he remained quite silent. Then he made some dreadful threats against me if I refused to tell him every detail of what had taken place. He questioned me. What on earth had he become involved with? My friends, I was afraid, so I told him everything that had gone on. All the things I knew were true. He at once began to groan, doleful sounds I'd never heard from him before. He'd always claimed that the wailing cries like that were only fit for gloomy men and cowards. He used to grieve, but never wail out loud. Just a deep moan, like from a lowing bull. But now, overwhelmed by his misfortune, he takes no food, no drink, sprawled in silence where he fell down among dead animals his own sword killed. It seems clear enough he will do something bad. The words he speaks and his laments show that intent somehow. My friends, you should come in and help him, if that's possible. That's why I came out here, for words from friends can cure a man like him.
Tecmessa, daughter of Teucer, what you've described to us about the man being driven mad with sorrow, that's dreadful.
Alas for me.
It looks as if his fit could soon be worse. Did you not hear that loud cry from Ajax?
Alas.
I think the man is sick or still suffering the effects of that disease he had before. They're everywhere around him where he sits.
My child. My son.
How miserable I feel. He's calling you, but why? What does he have in mind? Where are you? I'm overwhelmed.
I call on Teucer. Where is Teucer? Will that fighting raid he's on keep going forever? With me dying here?
I think the man may have his wits again. Open the door. Perhaps when he sees me, he'll quickly feel a sense of self-respect.
There, it's open. Now you can take a look at what he's done and see the state he's in.
Ajax is revealed sitting inside among the dead animals.
Ah, my cherished sailors. Of all my friends, the only ones who still observe true loyalty. You see how great a wave have just rolled over me, a crashing surge lashed on by murderous winds?
It looks as if what you told me is true. His condition clearly shows his madness.
Ah, you race of master mariners who crossed the sea with your oars, sped out across the salty ocean, I see in you, and you alone, the one supporting my despair. Come, help me kill myself.
No more of that. Speak words of hope. Don't seek to cure one bad thing with another or make this mad disaster any worse.
Do you see how this bold and valiant heart, this warrior so fearless in those wars against his enemies, has turned his hands, these awesome hands, against tame animal? Ah, the mockery! How I've been abused!
I beg you, my lord Ajax, don't say that.
Just go away! Why not turn your feet around and wander off somewhere? Oh!
By the gods, concede! Use your common sense!
It's my bad luck I let slip from my grasp those criminals deserving punishment. Instead, I went at bulls with twisted horns, fine herds of goats, and made their dark blood flow.
Why lament those deeds which have been done and cannot be recalled? Such final acts will never be anything but what they are.
Oh, you who keeps prying into everything, you nasty instrument for every crime, Odysseus, the filthiest degenerate in all the army. You must be laughing now, taking great delight in this.
Divine will determines if each man laughs or cries.
But still, I'd like to face him. Though I'm injured. Ooh.
Don't make boasts like that. Do you not see the catastrophe you face?
Oh, great Zeus, you ancestral father of my father, if only I could die once I had killed that wheedling scoundrel enemy of mine and those twin reigning kings.
When you make that prayer, pray also that I die as well. With you gone, why should I continue living?
O darkness now my delight, my daylight, O gloom of Erebus, for me the brightest light there is. Take me now to live with you. Take me, a man no longer worthy to seek help from families of gods or men, those creatures of a day. For Zeus's daughter, brave Athena, abuses and destroys me. Where can one escape? Where could I go and rest? If my past fame has been cut down, along with these dead beasts beside me, then, my friends, if I now seek a madman's triumphs, all the army, with repeated blows from their own swords, will cut me down and slaughter me as well.
How hard it is for me to hear this man, this worthy man, say things he'd never say before he had to face such a disaster.
Oh, you paths of resounding sea, you tidal caves and coastal pastures, for a long time now, for far too long, you have detained me here in Troy. But that you will no longer do. No, not while I am breathing still. Let men of sense be sure of that. Oh, you streams of the Scamander, my neighbor, so friendly to the Argives. You no longer will be seeing Ajax, a man who's equal as a warrior. And I can make this boast. Troy never saw arriving here from Greece. But now I lie among this heap, dishonored.
I don't have the strength to stop your words or let you go on saying such things. You've fallen into such calamity.
Alas, who would ever think my name would suit my troubles so poetically? For I could well cry out 2 or 3 times, "Alas for Ajax!" That shows the magnitude of the disaster I'm going through. I am the man whose father's excellence won supreme respect from all the army. He took the fairest prize and carried home every glory from the land of Ida. I am his son, who journeyed after him to the same land of Troy. I'm just as strong with the work of my own hands, my own awesome hands. I have attained achievements just as great. But as you see, these Argive insults have quite ruined me. And yet I think I can affirm this much. Had Achilles lived and been about to judge the man who received his weapons, the prize for being the finest man in war, no soldier would have put his hand on them before I did. But now the son of Atreus have dealt them to a fellow whose spirit will stoop to anything and pushed aside all those triumphant victories. Oh, Ajax! If with my distorted mind and eyes I'd not abandoned what I planned to do, they would not have had what's mine by right put to the vote against another man. But then that goddess with the glaring eyes, implacable Athena, Zeus's daughter, overthrew me at the very instant I was steadying my hand against them. She hurled me in a frenzied sickness, so blood from grazing beasts would stain my awesome hands, and those men now can laugh at their escape, something I did not want. But when a god commits an injury, the unworthy man escapes someone more powerful. And now what do I do? When I am obviously hated by the gods, when the Greek army despises me, and everyone in Troy and on the plain holds me an enemy? Should I give up my station in the fleet? Leaving the sons of Atreus alone and sail for the home across of the Aegean Sea? How could I face my father, Telamon, when I arrive back there? How could he bear to see me showing up with nothing, without the prize for highest excellence, with which he won his own great crown of fame? That's not a thing I could endure to do. Well then, should I charge out there on my own against the Trojan wall, alone attack, fight single combatants, do something valiant, and then at last be killed? But that would please the sons of Atreus. It must not happen. I must seek out some act which would reveal to my old father how, at least by nature, his own son has not become a coward. It is dishonorable for any man to crave a lengthy life. Once he discovers the troubles he is in will never change. What joy is there for him when every day just follows on another, pulling him away of punishment or punishing him toward death? I would not pay for any sort of mortal man who's warmed by futile hopes. A man of noble birth lives on with honor where he dies in glory. Now you've heard everything I have to say.
No one will ever claim that you, Ajax, have said a word that's illegitimate, for what you say is born in your own heart. But you should stop. Get rid of thoughts like these. Let friends overrule what you're suggesting.
Oh, my lord, Ajax, for human beings, the worst of evils is what they endure when they're compelled to. Consider me. I was the daughter of a freeborn father, a wealthy man. If anyone in Phrygia could be accounted rich, now I'm a slave, a circumstance the gods somehow made happen. Yes, the gods, and especially your strong limbs. And thus, since I have come into your bed, I want the best for you. So I beg you, by Zeus who guards our home, by that bed where you had sex with me, do not leave me to the savage insults of your enemies. Do not abandon me to some strange hand. For if you die and leave me all alone, that day you may be sure that the Argive men will take me by force, as well as your own son. Then both of us will be led the lives of slaves. One of our lords will speak those biting words, shooting insults at me. Look here at this, a bed made of Ajax, the strongest man in all our army. What menial chores she does, how she's changed from such an inevitable state. Men will talk that way, and then my fate will wear me down. Such shameful words will stain you and your family. Respect your father, whom you will leave a miserable old man. Respect your mother, too, who shares his years. She keeps begging the gods that you still live, that you'll return back home. And, my lord, have pity for your son. For if you die, consider how, whenever that day comes, both he and I will face desolation. He will lack the nurturing a young lad needs if you leave and he becomes an orphan in the care of people who are no friends of or from his family. And I have nothing I can look to except you. It was you who killed my homeland for me with your spear. My mother and my father were destroyed by a different fate which led them down to make their home in Hades after death. What country could I have except with you? What wealth, my safety, all security, that rests with you. So remember me as well. A genuine man should cherish memory. If he gets pleasure still from anything, kindness always engenders gratitude. A man who gives up his good memories will no longer be a noble, worthy man.
Ajax, I wish that pity touched your heart as it does mine. Then you'd approve her words.
So far as I'm concerned, she'll win approval only if she keeps on being obedient and carries out my orders properly.
Yes, beloved Ajax, I will obey you in everything.
Then bring me my son, so I may see him.
I sent him away, out of my care. I was so terrified.
Afraid because I was in trouble? What do you mean?
Yes, that's it. I feared that the unlucky boy might bother you and then somehow get killed.
Yes, such a thing the god who watches me would think fitting.
At least I took a suitable precaution to stop that from happening.
I approve of that. The steps you took were quite correct.
And so, as things are now, how can I best serve you?
Let me talk to him. See him face to face.
Yes, he's close by, with servants watching him.
Why then this delay? Why is he not here?
My son, your father is calling you. Whichever of you servants has his hand, bring the boy out here.
Is he coming? The one you called? Or did he not hear?
The servant's on his way. They're bringing Eurysakes with him.
A servant arrives with Eurysakes.
Eurysakes.
Lift him up. Hand the boy to me up here. He'll have no fear of fresh spilled blood, no. Not if he's a true-bred son of mine, who shares his father's nature. It is time he was broken in to that harsh code his father follows and his nature shaped to something of my own. Oh, my boy. May you have better fortunes than your father, although remain like him in other ways, for then
There he is, take him.
you'll have never been dishonored. Now I envy you, and with good reason, for you have no idea of any troubles. The sweetest life comes when one senses nothing. To lack all feeling is a painless evil, until you learn what joy and sorrow mean. Once you reach that stage, you must reveal the kind of man you are, your ancestry to those who were your father's enemies. Meanwhile, you should feed on gentle breezes, fostering your young life, so as to bring your mother joy. I know that no Achaean will go at you with insults and contempt, even when I'm gone. For I'm leaving Teucer here with you as guardian of your gates. He will not falter in his care for you, although he is now busy far away chasing his enemies. But my warriors, my people of the sea, I charge you now with the same joyful duty I gave Teucer. Report to him what I have ordered here. He is to take this boy back to my home, show him to Telamon and Erebio, my mother, so he may always comfort them in their old age until the time they reach the yawning caverns of the gods below. And none of these who judge our competitions, nor the man who ruined me, will offer my weapons as a prize for the Achaeans. No, my son, for my sake, you will have to take that broad shield from which you gave your name, hold it up high, shifted by its well-stitched grip, my impenetrable 7-layered shield. My other weapons you will bury with me. Come, take boy, and quickly close the hut. Take boy! And don't keep on weeping here in front. How these women really love their wailing, am I right, fellas? Quick now, close up the hut. A skillful healer does not howl incantation when a wound is crying for the knife.
When I hear that you're in such a rush, I get afraid. The sharp end of your tongue brings me no joy.
Oh, Lord Ajax, what are you going to do?
Don't keep on asking me. No more questions. The best thing now is self-restraint.
But I'm desperate. By the gods, by your own son, I beg you, do not become a man now who betrays us.
You pester me too much. Do you not see that I no longer owe the gods my service?
You must not utter such impiety.
Speak to those who listen.
Impieties.
Speak to those who listen.
Will you not hear me?
You have already chattered far too much.
Yes, my lord, because I'm so afraid.
Shut the doors. Do it now.
By all the gods, relent.
It looks as though you're thinking like a fool. If this late date you still believe that what you teach will shape my character?
The servants close the main door of the hut, leaving Ajax inside. Tecmessa, Eurysakes, and the servants go into the hut through the side door from which Eurysakes emerged earlier.
Scott, you want to alternate paragraphs on this one?
Sure.
Okay, I'll take the first one.
Okay.
Oh, splendid Salamis, you, I know, lie in the sea whose waves beat on your happy shores, a famous place among men forever. I have been held back a long time here in misery for countless months, still camped out in the fields of Ida, consumed by time and my anxiety, expecting to complete my journey to implacably destructive Hades.
And now my troubles multiply, a situation hard to remedy. For I must wrestle now with Ajax, share my life with that insanity sent from the gods. Alas, for me, once, long ago, you sent him out, filled with the frenzied power of war. But now his spirit feeds in isolation, and his friends acquire from him a heavy sorrow. His earlier deeds, those acts of highest excellence, have fallen where he has no friends, among the wretched, hostile sons of Atreus.
The years have changed his mother's hair to white and given her old age for company. When she learns of his disease, that maddening infection of his mind, she'll start to moan aloud in grief. She will not chant out melodies sung by the plaintive nightingale. No, in her mood of desolation, the sharp-tongued music of her pain will scream abroad her anguish. Her beating hands will thud down on her breasts, and she'll keep tearing out her old gray hair.
A man brain sick with mad delusions is better off concealed in Hades, a man who by his ancestry is ranked the best of the Achaeans, who have endured so much. But now, no longer following his inbred character, he wanders far beyond himself. Oh, you unhappy father Telamon, you have yet to hear the heavy curse laid on your son, a curse which up to now has never played a part in any life, nurtured by the sons of Aeacus. Enter Ajax through the main doors of the hut with a sword. Tecmessa enters after him.
The long succession of the countless years reveals what's hidden, then hides it once again. And there's nothing we should not anticipate. The solemn oath and the most stubborn heart are overcome. In this way, even I, who used to be so marvelously strong, like tempered iron, felt my sharp edge dissolve at what this woman said. I now feel pity leaving her a widow and my son an orphan among my enemies. And so I'll go to the bathing waters by the seashore and wash off my defilement. I will deflect the weighty anger of the goddess there. When I leave, I'll find some isolated place and then enter my sword. Of all my weapons, the one I most despise. I'll dig the earth where no one else will see. Then let night and Hades keep it there below the ground. Ever since I've held it in my grip, this gift from Hector, my greatest enemy, I've won no prizes from the Argives. That old human saying is true. Gifts men get from enemies, they are no gifts at all and bring them no advantages. And so, from this day forward, I shall understand how to revere the gods, and I will learn how to respect the sons of Atreus. They are our rulers, so we must obey. Why not? Things of the greatest power and awe give way to privileged authorities. Snow-footed winter yields to fruitful summer. The night's dark volute withdraws the moment day with her white-footed horses fires up the sky. The blasts of fearful winds at last bring rest, which calms the groaning seas. All-powerful sleep lets go the one he holds tied up in chains. His grasp does not go on forever. As for us, how can we mortals not learn self-control? I, at least, am only now discovering that we should hate our enemies as much as suits a man who will become a friend. And when I help a friend, then I will give only what is due to a man who will not remain a friend forever. For common mortals, see that shelter comradeship affords is treacherous. Thus, my situation will turn out for the best. And so, woman, go inside now. Keep praying to the gods my heart's desires will reach fulfillment and be carried out to their conclusion.
Tecmessa returns into the hut through the side door. Ajax turns to address the chorus.
My comrades, you too honor this request. Tell Teucer when he comes to care for me and also to protect your interests. I am now going where I have to go. As for you, carry out what I have said, and very soon perhaps you'll find out that, though I'm suffering now, I am at peace.
Ajax leaves, heading for the seashore.
I feel a sudden thrill of passionate delight, which makes me soar aloft with happiness and cry with joy to Pan. Oh, Pan! Pan, appear to us, sea rover. Come down from your stony ridge on snow-beat Mount Silene, you dancing master of the gods. Come, O king, begin your self-taught dancing steps from Mysia and Cenosis. For what I want now is to dance. And may Apollo, Lord of Delos, race across the Icarian Sea and manifest himself to me, show his benevolence in everything. From our eyes, Ares has removed those terrifying agonies. What joy, oh joy for now, Zeus. Now the dazzling light of brighter days can come. Our swift ships which speed across the seas, for Ajax is free of pain once more, and in a transformed state of mind has carried out appropriate sacrifice to all the gods in full, showing them due reverence and strictly following our most important laws. The power of time extinguishes all things, so I can't say that anything lies beyond all expectation, since, in contrast to what we were waiting for, now Ajax's mind has changed again, away from actions done in anger in his great fight with Atreus' sons.
Enter the messenger.
Friends, the first thing I have to report is this. Teucer has just come from the Mysian Heights. He is now in the middle of our line of ships in the general's camp. All the Argives are shouting insults at him all at once. They saw him coming and, as he approached, surrounded him, hurling accusations from all directions. Everyone joined in, calling him the brother of that maniac who had conspired against the army and saying he could not escape his death. Their stones would cut him down completely. Things reached the point where men had pulled their swords out of their scabbards and held them fully drawn. Then, as the fight was getting out of hand, some elders intervened. Their words stopped it. But where can I find Ajax to tell him this? I must provide our king a full report.
He's not inside. He's just gone away with new intentions yoked to change his mood.
Oh, no. Then the man who has sent me here did so too late, or I have been too slow.
What's so urgent? What's being overlooked?
Teucer said that Ajax had to stay inside and not leave his hut until he gets here.
Well, as I told you, Ajax has gone off. He intends to follow now what's best for him to cleanse away his anger at the gods.
Your words reveal your complete foolishness, if what Calchas prophesies has any merit.
What do you mean? What information do you have about what's happening here?
Well, I was there, and so I know this much. I witnessed it. Calchas left the leaders sitting in their royal council circle, moving off from the sons of Atreus. In a friendly gesture, he placed his right hand in Teucer's palm. Then he spoke to him, giving him strict orders to use every means to keep Ajax in his hut while this day lasts, and to prevent him from moving anywhere if he wished to see him still alive. For divine Athena rage would whip Ajax only for that day. That's what Calchas?
Calchas.
Calchas,
yeah.
thank you. That's what Calchas said. Then the prophet added, those living things which become too large and thus unwieldy fall into harsh disasters from the gods. The sort of man who, born from human stock, forgets and thinks beyond his mortal state. Take Ajax. As soon as he set out from home, he revealed his folly, though his father had passed on good advice. For Telamon commanded him, my son, with that spear of yours you must seek victory, but always fight with some god at your side. But then Ajax, in a lofty boast, thoughtlessly replied, Father, with God's help, even a worthless man can be victorious. But I believe I'll win glory on my own without them. Such was his arrogance another time with divine Athena, as she was rousing him and telling him to turn his deadly hands against the enemy. He answered her with a fearful and sacrilegious speech. Lady, stand there with the other Argives. The fight will never break the line through Ajax. It was with words like these that he provoked the unremitting anger of the goddess, because he does not think as humans should. But if he remains alive all day today, with God's help we might be his saviors. That's what Calchas had said. From where he sat, Teucer sent me off at once with orders which you were meant to follow. If we fail, Ajax is done for. That is, if Calchas has any skill in prophecy.
Tecmessa, unfortunate lady born of sorrow, come out and see this man. Hear his news, the razor slicing closer. I feel its pain.
Enter Tecmessa through the side door of the hut.
Why are you making me come out once more and leave the chair where I was getting some relief from these unending troubles?
Listen to this man. He comes with news about what's happening with Ajax, and it is disturbing.
Oh no, you there. Tell me what you have to say. Does this mean we're finished?
I have no idea how things stand with you. As for Ajax, if he is not inside, then I've lost hope.
He's gone away, so I'm in agony about just what you mean.
Teucer gave orders that you keep Ajax safely in his hut and do not let him leave all by himself.
But where is Teucer? Why did he say that?
He has only just returned. He suspects if Ajax goes somewhere, he'll be destroyed.
That's horrible. What man told him this?
Thestor's son, the prophet, whose words proclaimed this very day would bring life or death for Ajax.
Oh, my friends, protect me from this destiny. Some of you get Teucer here more quickly, while others go off to the western cove and to the east, as well to investigate, find out where Ajax went when he set off on that ill-fated path. For now I know I have, in fact, been totally deceived, and Ajax has finally cast away all the affection that he once had for me. Alas, my son, what am I going to do? I can't stay idle, so I'll go out there. As far as I have the strength to go, let's leave, and hurry. There is no time to sit around if we want to save a man who's eager for destruction.
I'm prepared to help, not just with words, as I will demonstrate. If we move fast, we can do this quickly.
They all exit in various directions, leaving the stage empty. The scene now changes to a deserted part of the seashore. Ajax enters carrying his sword, which he sets upright in the sand with the blade sticking upwards.
The sacrificial killer is in place. so it will now cut most effectively. If a man had time, he might reflect on this. It is a gift from Hector, a warrior who was a friend most hateful to me, the one I looked on as my greatest foe. Then, the sword is firmly set in Trojan soil, land of my enemy, freshly whetted on the iron-eating sharpening stone. And I have fixed it in the ground with care, so it will kill me quickly and be kind. Thus, we are well prepared. So, O Zeus, in this situation, be the first to help, as is appropriate. I'm not asking you to give me a grand prize, but for my sake, send a messenger to carry this bad news to Teucer, so he may be the first to raise me once I've fallen on the sword and covered it with fresh spilt blood. Don't let the first to spot me be some enemy who will throw me out, exposed as carrion food for dogs and birds. I appeal to you, O Zeus, grant me this much. I also call on Hermes, guide to the world below, to let me sleep without convulsions. When by one quick leap I break my bones apart on this sharp blade, and I summon those immortal maidens to my aid, those who always see all things of human suffering, the dread, far-striding furies, to witness how, in my wretchedness, the sons of Atreus brought on my destruction. May they seize on them and destroy them too, with deaths as vile as their disgusting selves. Just as they see me killed by my own hand, so let them perish, killed by their own kindred, the children they love most. Come, you furies, you swift punishers, devour the army, all of them, sparing no one. And you, Helios, whose chariot wheels climb that steep path to heaven, when you look down over my father's land, pull back those reins of yours which flash with gold, then tell the story of my miseries, my destiny, to my old father, and to the unhappy one who nursed me. That poor lady, when she hears this news, will, I think, sing out a huge lamenting dirge throughout the city. But for me to weep is useless. It's time to start the final act. Oh, death, death, come now and watch in person, yet I'll be seeing you on the other side, and there we can converse. And so to you, the radiant light of this bright, shining day, I make my final call, and to the sun. I'll never see that chariot anymore. Oh, light, oh, sacred land of Salamis, my home, my father's sturdy hearth, and glorious Athens, whose race was bred related to my own, and you rivers, you streams, you plains of Troy. I call on you. Farewell, you who have nurtured me. To you, Ajax now speaks his final words. The rest I'll say to those below in Hades.
Ajax falls on his sword. Enter the chorus in two separate groups from two different directions. Each has a separate leader. They do not see Ajax's body until Tecmessa finds it.
We work, and that brings on more work. Where have I not walked? Where? No place where I have searched has revealed to me where Ajax is. What's that? Listen, I heard a noise.
It's us, the crew that shares the ships with you.
What can you report?
We've searched everywhere on the west side of the ships.
Did you come up with anything?
Just lots of work. There's nothing there to see.
We haven't seen him either, not on the path facing the rising sun.
Who then can lead me on? What toiling sons of the seas, sleepless in their shacks? What nymph on high Olympus, or from the streams that flow into the Bosphorus, could say if she has seen somewhere fierce-hearted Ajax wandering around? It is not fair that after a long search and so much effort, I can't find the proper path to him. I cannot see where that elusive man
might be.
Enter Tecmessa behind the chorus. As she moves on, she stumbles across the corpse of Ajax.
Ah! Who cried out? It sounded close from that group of trees.
Oh, how horrible!
I see her, the unfortunate young bride Tecmessa, a prize won with his spear. She's lying there prostrate with grief, in pain.
I've lost and destroyed. My life is over. Oh, my friends.
What's happened?
It's our Ajax. He's lying here. He's just been murdered. His body's wrapped around a buried sword.
Oh, no. Our dreams of getting home are gone. Alas, my king, you have destroyed me too, the one who sailed across the seas with you. You poor unhappy man. heartsick lady.
With Ajax said like this, we have good cause to wail out our grief.
Who did this? With whose help could ill-fated Ajax have gone through with this?
He did it by himself. That's clear. That sword fixed upright in the ground indicates he fell on top of it.
Alas, for my own foolishness. You bled to death alone with no friends there to keep an eye on you. I was so stupid, so blind to everything I took no care. And now where does stubborn Ajax lie, a man whose very name suggests misfortune?
He's not a spectacle to gaze upon. With this cloak I will cover him completely. Tuck it all around him, for nobody, at least no one who was a friend of his, could bear to see him as he spurts blood around his nostrils and from that dark red wound. His self-inflicted slaughter. Alas, what shall I do? What friend of yours would lift you up for burial? Where's Teucer? How I wish that he would come right now when we need him. If he ever comes, oh, ill-fated, to care for the body of his brother. Oh, ill-fated Ajax, how could a man like you end up like this? Even your enemies must find you worthy of a funeral song.
Oh, you unhappy man. How you were doomed with that unbending heart of yours, fated to leave out an evil destiny of endless suffering. I know you groaned such hostile words against the sons of Atreus all night long, and in the morning light, the fatal passion of a stubborn heart. It's obvious that when those weapons were made, the prizes in the competition for the finest of our battle warriors, that was a potent source of trouble.
Alas, alas for me.
Your heart, I know, is truly filled with grief.
Such agony for me.
It's no surprise, my lady, you wail and wail again, for you've lost a man you loved so much.
You only guess how I must feel, but I experience it, and to the limit.
That is true enough.
Alas, my son, what kind of slavery will yoke us now as we move on from here? What sort of taskmasters stand above us?
Now you've given your voice to your concerns about unspeakable actions by those men, the two unfeeling sons of Atreus in this our present grief. May God restrain them.
But these events would not have taken place without the gods' consent.
Yes, they have set a burden too heavy for us to bear.
It's Athena, Zeus' savage daughter. What miseries that goddess has produced, and for Odysseus' sake.
I'm sure that man has endured so much, and his black heart exults and laughs with lofty arrogance in these insane disasters. Such mockery, such disgrace. And when they hear of those two royal sons of Atreus will join in his merriment.
Then let them laugh. Let them get their joy from this man's agony. Although they did not sense their need of him while he was living, perhaps they'll mourn his death when they need him in war. Men with brutal minds have no idea what fine things they possess until they throw them out. Ajax's death, to me so bitter and to them so sweet, at least has brought him joy, for he has got what he desired, the death he yearned for. So why should these men make fun of him? His death is the gods' concern, not theirs, no. So let Odysseus vaunt his empty jest. For them, Ajax is dead. For me, he's gone, abandoning me to grief and mourning.
No, no, no!
Be quiet. I think I hear Teucer's voice. His shouts send out a tone which penetrates the heart of this disaster.
Enter Teucer.
My dearest Ajax, my bright source of joy, my brother, what's happened to you? Is the rumor true?
He's dead, Teucer. That's the truth.
Alas. Then I bear a heavy destiny.
Given how things stand,
This is too sad.
you have cause to grieve.
This act of his, so rash and passionate.
Yes, Teucer, passion in excess.
This is disastrous. What about his son? Where on Trojan soil can I find him?
He's in the hut, all by himself.
You. Bring him here to me as soon as possible, in case he gets snatched by an enemy. The way a hunter grabs a lion cub and leaves its mother childless. Go quickly. We need your help, for it's a fact all men love to laugh in triumph above the dead. when they're stretched out before them.
Exit Tecmessa.
Teucer, when Ajax was alive, he said that you should look after his son, as you're now doing.
Oh, surely. This is the most painful sight of anything my eyes have ever seen. And of all the roads I've traveled, the worst, the one most deeply painful in my heart, is the pathway I've just walked along while trying to track you down, dearest Ajax. Once I learned your fate, there was some gossip, some tale to do with you. It spread quickly, as if sent by a god to all the Argives. It is said you had wandered off and died. I heard the details far away from here, and there I groaned with sorrow. Now I'm here. I see it for myself. It breaks my heart. It's dreadful. Come, take off this covering so I can get a full view of this horror.
Attendants remove the cloak covering Ajax's body.
Oh, that face. It is so painful to see now, so full of bitter daring. How many sorrows you have sown for me by this destruction. Where can I go? What sort of people will take me in when I was no use to you in times of trouble? No doubt Telamon, who fathered you and me, will welcome me, perhaps with smiles and words of kindness, when I reach home without you. Of course he will, for he's the kind of man who never smiles, not cheerfully, even when things go well. A man like that, what will he not say? What sort of insult will he not hurl at me, a bastard spawned by some battle prize of his, who, because of his unmanly cowardice, betrayed you, dearest Ajax, or by treachery tried to seize your power and your home once you were dead? That's what Telamon will say. He's a bad-tempered man, and his old age has made him harsh. His anger likes to argue over nothing. He'll end up banishing me, throw me from the land. What he'll say of me will make me seem a slave instead of free. That's what will happen if I go back home. Here in Troy, I have many enemies and few ways of getting help. All this has happened to me because you've been killed. It's a disaster. What am I to do? How do I raise you up, you sad corpse, from the sharp bite of this glittering sword, you murderer, on which you breathed your last? You've come to sense how, in good time, Hector, though dead, was going to slaughter you. Look here, by the gods, see the fate of these two men. First, Hector was lashed tight to the chariot rail with the very belt Ajax had given him, and underwent continual mutilation until he gasped his life away. Then Ajax took Hector's gift in hand and used it to kill himself in that death-dealing fall. Surely a vengeful fury forged this blade, and that harsh craftsman Hades made that belt. For my part, I would assert that gods have plotted these events. They always do in everything that mortal men go through. If someone finds this view objectionable, let him love his own beliefs as I do mine.
Don't stay too long. You need to think how we can bury Ajax and what to say. It's urgent. For someone coming here, a man who is our enemy, it could be he comes to mock our misfortunes, a man who thrives on harm.
Who is it? The man you see? What member of the army?
It's Menelaus, the one for whom we launched this expedition.
I see him. He is not hard to recognize when he's so close.
Enter Menelaus with a small escort of soldiers. You there! I order you not to take up that corpse for burial. Leave it where it is.
Why waste your words with such an order?
I think it's fitting, as does the commander of our army.
Then would it bother you to tell me why you issue this command?
The reason's this. We hoped that we were leading Ajax here away from home so that he'd be our ally, someone friendly to the Argives. But instead, when we saw him more closely, we found out he was more hostile than the Phrygians. He planned to destroy our entire army and set off at night to take us with his spear. If some god had not frustrated his attempt, we would have met the same fate he did. We'd be dead and lying there, struck down by shameful fate, and he'd be still alive. But now it's clear a god changed these events, and so the violence in his heart fell elsewhere on sheep and cattle, and that's the reason there's no one powerful enough right now to take his corpse and set it in a grave. Instead, it will be tossed away somewhere on the yellow sand, food for shore birds. Remember that. Curb the anger in your heart. If we could not control him when he lived, at least he will obey us now he's dead. Even if you don't agree, our forceful hands will take charge of him. When he was alive, Ajax never listened to a word I said, and it's a fact that when a common man thinks it's appropriate to disobey those in command, he truly demonstrates his worthless character. Within the city, the laws could never foster benefits if there was no established place for fear. Nor can one lead the troops with wise restraint where there is neither fear or reverence to act in their defense. So any man, no matter how powerful his body grows, must realize he'll fall even when the harm to him seems trivial. A man who has in him a sense of fear and shame is quite secure. You can be sure of that. But when there's no room for hostile arrogance, and men do what they want, consider how a state like that, though it has raced ahead with favoring winds, will, in the course of time, sink in the ocean depths eventually. And so, for me, let fear be set in place where it's appropriate. Let's not believe we can just do whatever we desire and not pay the painful consequence. These matters fluctuate. Ajax was once a man of fiery insolence, but now it's time for me to manifest my power. And thus I warn you not to bury him. If you do, you just might fall yourself into that grave.
Menelaus, after setting out such well-thought precepts, do not become too arrogant yourself in dealing with the dead.
Fellow soldiers, never again will I be much surprised if someone born a nobody goes wrong, since those apparently of noble birth can make so many errors when they speak. Come, tell me once more from the beginning, do you really think it was you personally who led Ajax here in Argive ally? Did he not sail to Troy all on his own, under his own command? In what respect are you this man's superior? On what ground do you have any right to rule those men whom he led here from home? You came to Troy as king of Sparta. You do not govern us. Under no circumstance did some right to rule or give him orders lie within your power, just as he possessed no right to order you. You sailed here a subordinate to others, not as commander of the entire force who could kill at any time, tell Ajax what to do. Go, be king of those you rule by right. Use those proud words of yours to punish them, but I will set this body in a grave as justice says I should, even though you or any other general forbids it. I am not afraid of your pronouncements. Ajax did not join this expedition because the woman was a wife of yours, as did those toiling Spartan drudges. No, but because he'd sworn an oath to do it. You were no part of it. He never valued men worth nothing. And so when you return, come back here and bring more heralds with you, as well as the commander. Your vain chat is not something that really bothers me, not while you stay the kind of man you are.
When things go badly, I don't like to hear a tone like that, even when it's justified. Harsh language stings.
This mere archer seems to entertain some big ideas.
Indeed I do. My skill is not something to underrate.
My, if only you possessed a shield, how grand your boasts would be.
Even with no shield, I'd get the better of you fully armed.
That tongue of yours, how it likes to feed the savage spirit inside.
When a man is right, he's entitled to make impressive claims.
Do you mean to tell me it is just for someone to be treated generously when he's killed me?
Killed you. Your words sound odd if, after being killed, you are now alive.
Some god saved me. As far as Ajax knows, I'm dead and gone.
Since the gods rescued you, you should not now dishonor them.
You mean I could be violating sacred laws?
Yes, if you personally intervene to prevent the burial of dead.
That's not so with a personal enemy. To bury him would not be right.
What's that? Did Ajax ever march ahead in battle as your enemy?
He hated me and I hated him, but you knew that.
Yes, he did. But because you were found out, you tampered with the vote, which robbed him.
The judges beat him in that competition, not me.
With your deceitful secrecy, you can conceal so many crimes.
Words like that could well prove painful to a man I know.
Well, I don't think they will bring more pain than we'll inflict.
Once and for all, then, I tell you this, that man will not be buried.
Then hear my answer. Ajax's corpse will have a burial.
I have already seen a man with a bold tongue urging sailors on to launch a voyage during winter storms, but you could hear no sound from him at all once the storms got nasty. He hid himself under a cloak and then let the sailors step on him at will. You're just like him. You and your braggart mouth, a mighty squall even from a tiny cloud, in no time will snuff out your constant shouting.
And I have seen a man stuffed with stupidity whose pride delighted in his neighbor's grief. Then someone like me with my temperament faced up to him and said something like this. Hey, you there, don't harm the dead. If you do, you can be sure you'll find yourself in trouble. So he warned the partry fellow face to face. I see him now, and it appears to me he is none other than yourself. I trust I haven't talked too much in riddles.
I'm leaving. It would be a great disgrace if men found out I've started arguing when I could use my power.
Be off with you. It would be a great disgrace to me to listen to such silly chattering from such fool.
Menelaus and his escort leave the way they came.
We're going to see a major altercation from this argument. As quickly as you can, Teucer, you should make a hollow grave for Ajax where he'll rest in a dark tomb, and people for all time will keep him in their memory.
Enter Tecmessa and Eurysakes.
Just in time, his woman and his son had now arrived to perform a funeral for this sad corpse. Come, lad, move over here. Stand here by him. Set your hand in supplication on him, on your father from whom you were born. Kneel down in prayer. Hold firmly in your hand locks of hair from me, from her, from you, the three of us. These give the suppliant strength. If any member of the army tries to remove you from this corpse by force, then may the wicked man become an exile, tossed out from his own land in mystery, and remain unburied, his roots severed from this whole race, just as I cut this hair. Take this, my boy, and guard it, and don't let any man push you away. Stay kneeling here and hang on tight. You sailors over there, don't stand around the place like women. You're men. Stand on guard here and protect him till I get back, once I've set up the grave. I don't care who has forbidden it.
Exit Teucer.
When will our last year here arrive? When will the number of those wandering years come to an end, and my interminable fate go on carrying this toiling spear across the wide expanse of Troy, a sorrow and a shame for Greeks? How I wish that man had been swept off high into the sky or into Hades, the home that all men share, before he'd introduced the Greeks to that war mood which sucks up everyone, those weapons of the god of war which every man detests, those toils which just produce more toil. That man has wiped out our humanity. He gives me as my portion no delight in garlands or full cups of wine, no sweet tunes from flutes around me, that ill-fated wretch, or in the night the joys of sleep. And as for love, alas, he has denied me. I lie here forgotten, my hair always drenched from thickly falling dew. Ah, yes, my memories from desolate Troy. Bold Ajax used to be my rampart once, my constant wall against night fears and flying weapons aimed at me. But he has now become a sacrifice to some malevolent deity. What pleasure, then? What joy now lies in store for me? Oh, how I wish I were back there where the wooded, wave-washed headland juts out our guard against the open sea below the high flat rocks of Sunium, and we could all then greet sacred Athens.
Enter Teucer in a hurry.
I've just seen Commander Agamemnon. I've just seen Commander Agamemnon. He's coming here and quickly, so I ran back. He's clearly going to give his blundering mouth some exercise.
Enter Agamemnon with an armed escort.
You there, I've been told you've dared to mouth foul threats against us with impunity. I'm talking about you, the son of a mere slave, a battle trophy. If some well-bred lady were your mother, no doubt your boast would soar high in the sky, and you would strut around on tiptoe. You are a nobody, and here you act the champion for this non-entity. In all seriousness, you made the claim. We voyaged here with no authority, as commanders of the troops or of the fleet, to give orders to the Achaeans or to you, since Ajax sailed under his own command. Is it not shameful that I have to hear such monstrous insults from the mouth of slaves? This man you shout about with so much pride, what sort of man was he? Where did he go or stand and fight? Where was I not there too? Do the Achaeans have no man but him? It seems it was a painful thing we did when we announced to all the Achaeans that the competition for Achilles' weapons. If in every quarter we appear corrupt thanks to Teucer, and if you people here never will be satisfied, not even after you have been put down, and yield to what most of the judges thought was fair. Instead, you will no doubt keep hurling at us these constant jibes. Or from your station in the rear, treacherously lash out at us. In places where such conditions hold, you'll never find a settled order based on rule of law. Not if we discard the men who justly win and put in front of the ones who lag behind. No, we must prevent such tendencies. It is not the big, broad-shouldered warriors who make the most reliable allies. It's men who think. They win out every time. One guides a broad-backed ox straight down the path with only a small whip. I can see you'll soon receive some of that medicine, unless you get yourself some common sense. That man is no longer living. By this time, he has become a shade, and here you are, rashly insulting us, letting your mouth run on and on. You should control yourself. Do you not realize who you are by birth? Why not let another man step forward, someone freeborn, to state your case to us instead of you? For when you're speaking, I am not prepared to listen anymore. To me, your barbarian way of speaking is quite impossible to understand.
I wish you two were sensible enough to show some self-restraint. Nothing I say would be more useful to the both of you.
Well now, how quickly among mortal men grateful thoughts about the dead are gone and turn into betrayal. This man here can't even manage a few words, Ajax, to celebrate your memory. And yet, you often risked your life protecting him, hefting that spear of yours in battle. But now, as you can see, all those great deeds are dead and gone, all thrown aside. And you talk a lot of utter foolishness. You have no longer any memory of this time when you were all bunched up inside the rampart, almost done for in that spear fight. Then Ajax showed up, all on his own, and kept protecting you with flames already blazing on your ships, spreading across the decks, right at the stern, and Hector leaping high across the ditch, heading for our fleet. Who held him back? Was Ajax not the one who managed that? The man you claim never went any place where you did not go to? Do you concede his actions then, as far as you're concerned, set a high standard? And then another time, when he faced up to Hector by himself in single combat. No one ordered him. He was picked out by lot, and his marker, the one he threw in among the others, was not designed to help him not get picked. It was no lump of moistened clay, no, but a light one, which would be the first out of the crested helmet. Yes, Ajax was the one who did these things, and I, the slave whose mother was a foreigner, was there beside him. You miserable man. Where are your eyes when you go on like this? Do you not realize your father's ancient Pelops, was a barbarian who came from Phrygia? And Atreus, the man who spawned you, wasn't he the one who prepared the sacrilegious dinner and served up his own brother's children as a meal for him to eat? And then, as for yourself, the mother who bore you came from Crete, and her own father caught her having sex, screwing some stranger. He abandoned her to be killed in silence by a bunch of fish. That's the kind of man you are. How can you insult a man like me about my origins? I am son of Telamon, who won my mother as his consort, his own prize for being the army's finest warrior. She was of royal blood, Laomedon's daughter, the most desirable of all the battle spoils. Alcmene's son gave her to Telamon. Since I am nobly born and my parents are both noble too, how could I disgrace my own flesh and blood? Ajax is lying here, overcome by all his troubles. And you, aren't you ashamed that you say you'll toss him out without a burial? Well, think of this. If you just throw him out, along with him, you'll be casting off 3 more as well. It's a finer thing for men to see me die while laboring hard on his behalf than fighting for your woman, or should I say your brother's wife. Given what I've said, don't think about my safety. Look to your own. For if you make things difficult for me, you're going to wish you had been more afraid and not so bold when you confronted me.
Enter Odysseus, alone.
Lord Odysseus, you've come just in time if you're here to calm things, not make them worse.
My friends, what is going on? From a long way off, I heard the sons of Atreus shouting out over this brave man's body.
Lord Odysseus, we have had to listen for far too long to the most shameful language from this man. Is that not reason enough?
Well, let's see. I could forgive a man who had been listening to someone else who was abusing him and who then joined in a war of insults.
I did insult him because his actions were a direct affront to me.
What did he do to injure you?
He says he will not let this corpse remain without a burial. He'll set it in a grave no matter what I do.
Well, may someone who's a friend of yours speak his mind and still remain a colleague the way he was before?
You should speak out. I would scarcely be thinking properly if I said no. Among the Argives, I consider you my greatest friend.
Then listen. In deference to the gods, don't be so unyielding you throw Ajax out without a burial. You should not let that spirit of violence at any time seize control of you, not to the extent that you then trample justice underfoot. This man became my greatest enemy in all our army on that very day I beat him for the armor of Achilles. But for all the man's hostility to me, I would not disgrace him, nor would I deny that in my view he was the finest warrior among the Argive men who came to Troy after Achilles. So if you dishonor him, you would be unjust. It would not harm him, but you'd be contravening all those laws the gods established. When a good man dies, it is not right to harm him, even though he may be someone you hate.
Odysseus, you mean you're arguing against me on his behalf?
Yes, that's what I mean. I did hate him, when it was all right to hate him.
Why would you not walk all over him now that he's dead?
Son of Atreus, Do not take pleasure in advantages which are dishonorable.
An all-powerful king does not show reverence all that easily.
But he can give out honorable rewards to friends when they advise him prudently.
A good man should obey those in command.
But why not concede? You'll still be in control, although you let your friends prevail against you.
Just remember the kind of man he was, the one for whom you want to do this favor.
This man was an enemy of mine, that's true, but he was once a noble warrior.
Why are you doing this? Why such respect for the dead body of an enemy?
His excellence moves me to do it, far more than his hostility to me.
Men who act the way you're doing now are unreliable.
Let me assure you, among human beings, most are changeable, sometimes friendly, then sometimes bitter.
Are those the sort of men you'd recommend that we accept as friends?
Well, I wouldn't recommend we choose someone inflexible.
All right, but now you'll make us look like cowards.
No, every Greek will think we're being just.
So you would urge me to give my permission and let this corpse receive a burial?
I would, for I myself will someday reach the state he's in as well.
There we have it. All men work to benefit themselves.
For whom should I make such an effort if not for myself?
We'll have to announce that you're the one responsible for this, not me.
However you do it, it will serve to bring you several advantages.
Well, in any case, you can rest assured I would grant you a greater favor than this burial. As for this man here, down in the underworld he is my enemy, just as he was on Earth. But you can do whatever you think is appropriate.
Agamemnon and his escort leave.
Given how you have acted here today, Odysseus, any man who now asserts that you are not by nature wise is stupid.
I now proclaim that from this moment on I am Teucer's friend, as much as earlier I was his enemy. And I'm willing to join with him in burying the dead, working with you, and omitting nothing human beings may need to honor and respect their finest warriors.
Noble Odysseus, I have nothing but praise for what you've said. You've done so much to disprove my fears. Of all the Argives, you were the one who was his greatest enemy, and yet you were the only one to stand by him, to lend a helping hand. For when he died, and you were still alive, you could not bear to see such injuries inflicted on him. Not like that frantic general who was here. He and his brother wanted their revenge by casting Ajax off without a grave. And so may all our ruling father Zeus, high on Olympus, the unforgiving Furies, and Justice too, who fulfills all things, destroy those evil men with evil deaths, just as they tried to rid themselves of Ajax. Outrageous treatment he did not deserve. But you, child of venerable Laertes, I hesitate to let you touch the corpse in these funeral rites, for that may well offend the man who died. But as for all the rest, join in with us. If you wish, bring someone. Any soldier in the army will be welcome. I must get all the things ready, Odysseus. You must know you've acted nobly for us.
That is what I wished. But if you object to my participation here with you, I'll defer to what you want and leave. Odysseus leaves.
Enough. Too much time has passed already. Hurry now. Some of you scoop out a hollow grave. Others set the cauldron high up on the stand, with fire all around so we can start the ritual cleansing promptly. One of you bring from his hut the armor he would wear behind his shield. And you, too, my child, since he's your father, use those loving arms with all the strength you have and help me lift him. His windpipe is still warm, and from it flows his own dark spirit. Come then, Come, all of you who say you are our friends, come quickly, move out, and with your efforts, honor Ajax. There was no one to match his excellence. No nobler man has received such honor.
I know of many things which mortal men can see and learn from, but until he meets it, no one sees what is to come or his own fate.
A pola brotois estin idusin gnonai, prin idean de udes mantis ton melanton ha ti proxe. And everyone exits the stage. Woo!
Yeah.
I'm going to have some words with Andy later about this behavior.
Gulp.
And that, my friend, is Sophocles' Ajax.
Yeah.
Good shit.
So to you who participated, what did you think? Did you enjoy it? How did you find the play?
Oh, I had a great time.
Yeah.
I really liked it, honestly.
Big fan, yeah.
I got really emotionally involved, especially in the scenes with Tecmessa, where I was just like, girl, we gotta get through this.
Yeah.
He's dead.
Hard times, Daddy.
It was a lot of fun. Those scenes were really, it was fun to do that with Emma. So thank you for giving us.
I think John Cena was especially good as the son.
Honestly, his performance was the best.
Yeah, he lifted up the dead body at the end.
His ripped abs on my lap were a little distracting. I was I was trying to focus.
Yeah.
Washing my clothes at the same time.
Everyone in chat, I noticed, was saying that Sophocles wrote really great wrestling promos.
Yeah, he did. He's the OG.
Odysseus became the face.
Odysseus turned face. Odysseus turned face.
I loved the heel that came in and just the shit talking, the two of them.
The shade, the roast.
Menelaus and Agamemnon are like a heel tag team.
Oh my
They're
god.
so fucking shitty.
You two were like, I was shitty, but you two were nasty.
Yeah.
The shade was so real.
And if I remember correctly, they don't make it home, right?
Menelaus eventually
does.
He has more adventures, but yeah,
Agamemnon gets home and everything goes to shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Agamemnon is real interesting.
Okay. Yeah. So in for those of you who are watching, if you're not familiar with a lot of Greek tragedies, this one it's like most of the other ones in that there's not really much action. It's just a bunch of people come in, they talk, they go out. This one is fairly unique though in that it has a major scene change, and most of the ones that we know of at least don't have that. They're usually it's one set and then they just do the whole play, but this one actually shifts from the tent out to the seashore.
Okay.
Do you know how they would do that in the old days of like a set change? And just have dudes run on and take some shit out and swap it real quick, or I don't know.
Probably not even that. They would just continue on and
someone would come out on stage with like a sign that just said ocean.
That's great. Yeah.
I also think about like chorus, like it's got to be akin to how we like montages in movies. Someone must have been like, look, choruses like rock. Let's do a lot of them. Like, you know what I mean?
And there would have been a lot of people in the chorus, though this one, and it's typical of most Greek tragedies that like the chorus leader has a lot that they kind of like do on their own. But like even in this one, there was a point where it was like the chorus is broken into two groups. There's group one and group two, and
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and some of the songs that the chorus does, if you read the text, they work with the lines of dialogue that some of the other characters have as well. So it would have been more like a what is it?
Commentary.
And like a question answer kind of thing.
Yeah, call and response.
Especially with Ajax. Yeah, that's with Ajax in this one.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
What is that? What the chorus serves the purpose of?
Sorta. I mean, it's like the chorus is like sort of the audience, but they're also there to like try to clarify things for the they're like a running commentary on what's happening on stage.
Yeah.
Kind of like how we should be feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, terrifying. Scott, when did you first come across this this Greek tragedy?
I knew the story of Ajax way back when I was.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been a fan of mythology since I was little, so I knew the story probably in high school era. But I definitely read the play first in college, and then in grad school I did more work with it, reading it in the Greek, and then doing some other stuff.
That's awesome.
But yeah, like I said, it's always been a favorite of mine. I think Ajax is a really interesting character because as he and some of the other characters talk about, he is one of the only of the Greek warriors who's really excellent, who never has the benefit of the gods by his side. Whether he said thanks but no thanks, or whether they just didn't particularly like him, he succeeded all on his own just as a human being, and still was the second greatest warrior after Achilles.
He's like Hawkeye.
Yeah,
he's the
like
best
Hawkeye.
mortal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That defies what they believe about the gods, that the gods will everything.
Yeah, I mean, there's some the Greek gods, as every story will tell you, they're very fickle. At one point they may love you, and the next moment they may hate you. So the gods fight amongst themselves and get into trouble all on their own. So humans do have some time and ability to run around and screw things up all on their own.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are we doing next week, friendos?
It's my turn to host. I have not thought of what I want to do.
Final Fantasy discussion.
No.
24-hour stream. Let's go.
Oh, Bert, how was that for you?
That was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me on. It was cool.
I didn't know Emperor Palpatine was in Ajax.
I didn't go full because I didn't want it to be like full distracting. But
The chat all got it though. They got it.
Yeah. It was so perfect.
It was so good.
Cool.
Yeah.
It was cool to like kind of hash this. It's been like forever thinking of just kind of all the stuff surrounding like the Trojan War, and it was interesting because I just watched the movie not that long ago, and
Troy?
and it's just not good.
It's not good.
And like it's alarming because like I went into it, I remember seeing it and being like,
is good. It had every like opportunity to be good. It's just not though.
100%. And the part that when I started watching it the first time, I don't know why I decided to watch it again, just because maybe whatever. But I kept waiting for the gods to show up because that's like the whole integral part of like the story. And like I was like, when are they gonna show up? And then at a certain point, I was like, oh, they just don't care at all about this. Wow. They're treating it like
we like studied the whole Trojan War thing pretty in depth. Actually, when I was a freshman in high school, a lot of our curriculum was focused on Greek mythology. Yeah. So in my English class, and so we like studied the Iliad and the Odyssey like pretty intensely. So yeah, Troy was definitely like a huge letdown to me. I was actually in a contemporary adaptation of the Trojan Women back in like 2012 at a theater in Long Beach. I played Helen. That was very flattering. But yeah, I
played Athena, so
So Bert wins. But we did a contemporary adaptation by a British author that's called Trojan Barbie. And it was sort of like this woman who was a doll maker in the present day who traveled to that area, and like she like sort of time traveled. It was vague. But it was super duper fun, and it was like a very like condensed, sort of easy to understand Greek tragedy that like I think looked a lot more at the way the women of Troy suffered, and it was actually like kind of sympathetic to Helen in a way where she basically was like, they're like, it was sympathetic to Helen in a way where they're like, she's like very smart and good at like playing her cards right to get what she wants.
Yeah.
So it was a really, really fun show.
Crafty Helen.
And then as Pete noted in the chat on Netflix, there's a mini series called Troy Fall of a City, and that is much more accurate to the Iliad and depictions than the movie Troy. So I do recommend that one.
I will check that out.
Yeah, the movie Troy for me is kind of triggering because I went on a really awkward high school date to go see it. This guy got no moves, babies, no moves.
I actually have a little bit of fun. Actually, this is super duper weird. I'm making this bizarre connection in my life right now because they showed Troy in the theater on my college campus when I was a freshman. And I went with some friends and we all thought it was terrible, but we had a great time. We had a great time. And that's how I became friends with the girls who would end up being my roommates junior and senior year when I moved off campus. And my current roommate, Lola, I met when we were both in Trojan Barbie.
That's crazy.
Full circle. And now you guys will never be roommates ever again.
Yeah, super weird.
That's
super weird.
fascinating.
Yeah. But I love Greek mythology. It's because I watched a lot of Xenon Hercules as a child and then was like, I want to know what this is all about. And we had a book of just mythology and I just read it every night. So
awesome. Well, to anybody who is joining us who wasn't already watching my streams, if you like Greek mythology, every Monday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific time, I talk about Greek mythology. So it's a little plug for my channel.
Yeah. Mythology
How dare you plug
Mondays.
yourself on your channel?
I know, right?
Andy, can you give us a disappointed for Uzi?
Disappointed.
We need some more Kevin Sorbo. There you go.
Everybody needs more. Well, he's kind of a dick in real life. We need more Kevin Sorbo's Hercules. We don't need more.
Yes.
Yeah. Him. Yeah.
I just want to hear more about Ajax's hands.
His awesome hands.
Awesome hands.
Took liberty with the script there.
It reminded me of was it Sin City when Marv is going through all of his weapons. He's like, and my mitts.
In my mitts.
No, I loved Andy that you were full on wrestler Ajax.
A little bit of Randy slipped in there. A little bit of Bonesaw at some point. You know.
Bonesaw already.
That makeup's on point too, Janelle.
Yeah.
That one.
I did it.
It's real good.
So the expired blood hasn't started burning yet. How old is this fake blood formula?
It's not expired. It's brand new. I bought it like 9 years ago, but it was not open. Come on.
It's gonna have a stain tomorrow, but
it'll be Lord.
No, I put foundation on there and primer. Girl, we got it covered.
It's gonna stain. I'm gonna go to Costco with a face mask and just like.
Okay, but now you look
Yeah.
Wow.
That's really funny.
Well, I think this for an experiment of performing a Greek tragedy on Twitch, I think this went very well.
I do too.
Scott, you prepared us so heavily.
This was so fun.
Scott put in a lot of work for everybody. The Google Docs, the notes, like everything was just like
Like maybe next time we'll have to do like Lysistrata or something, like do a comedy.
I tried to adapt Lysistrata when I was like 18 because it was like fun to talk about sex. Like, it's fun. I would be down to do that. That'd be fun.
Can we your adaptation of it though?
Yes, Jess, can we do your adaptation of Lysistrata?
It's gone. It's like in a previous hard drive, but you know what? It may inspire me to do it.
You can do that in 2 weeks because 2 weeks is when you are doing. In fact,
I know.
This is so fun though. Like it was so fun to just like do a play. You know,
it was, man.
Maybe we'll do some Shakespeare or something next week. I don't know.
Lord.
Who knows?
Who knows? I'll figure it out. I'll let y'all know what I'm gonna do.
Because that's awesome.
Well, if you guys don't already follow us on Homebuddies, I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
But make sure
follow Bert.
Yeah, follow Bert and then follow one.
Woo!
Or don't.
Yeah.
But he put
I just put pictures of my dogs and
I was just gonna say, but there's cute pictures of dogs.
But your dog's really cute. So
we love Ninja.
Super.
You're pretty cute too, Bert.
Take him. Take him. He's the only one I see, Bert. I'm tired of it.
Bert,
No, listen,
I was
Terrence
gonna say-
Pryor in the chat suggested Shakespeare, but with Animal Crossing characters.
Oh.
So everybody get ready. Get your villagers ready for an Animal Crossing Shakespeare performance.
Oh Lord.
Do they have to speak like?
Listen,
Well, I was gonna say,
Anyway.
Bert, do you have anything to promote while you're here?
Yeah, sure. That's a good. Thank you, Scott.
Yeah.
If anyone doesn't know, and maybe you do, maybe you don't, I run a Mass Effect RPG called Mass Effect Advantum. It's got some of the regulars that you all know. It has Matt, Naeem, and Emily, and a few others. And we doing like tabletop RPG set in the Mass Effect universe. I think I'm allowed to say this, that our season 2 guest is Mark Muir, who is the voice of male Commander Shepard.
oh yeah.
Oh,
That's
PogChamp,
sick.
dude.
Yeah.
Wow, so
Check
legit.
it out.
That's great.
Yeah,
dope.
so check that out if you like Mass Effect or RPGs, and if you liked something that's a sci-fi universe RPG that's not Pencils of Parsecs, go check out Pencils of Parsecs first, because that was a lot of fun, and then check us out.
Pretty good.
But yeah.
I'm not biased or anything, but it's pretty good.
Oh, okay.
It has a Kylara poster in the back. No, I'm not biased.
I fucking
Uh-huh.
knew them. No,
I
you
love
guys,
it.
a fan made that for me.
I know,
Okay.
I know, which is awesome. I just brought it up.
Uh-huh.
I wanted to mention
All
it.
right, you're the boss.
All right, we should go through who has what cool fun things coming up this week. Andy.
And Dax. So we recently set up our PS4 again.
Oh, yeah.
Because Emma was playing Streets of Rage 4 with Janel, was super fun. And me and Cameron had the idea to play the worst Resident Evil game in the series. So we're going to be co-oping Resident Evil 6, probably starting next week. Just,
Can't wait for
memeing,
Cameron's
just
commentary.
just goofing off the whole time. And he's like, I'm going to finish this level with just melee or like just a knife, whatever. Yeah, that's horrible, but we're going to have a great time. It is the Michael Bay movie version of Resident Evil, but it'll be fun.
It's amazing.
Cool. And Janelle?
You can find me here. I'll be doing on Janel Santa Cruz, my name everywhere. Follow me. I will be doing Overwatch, but also adding more stuff. I'll be doing more chill games too. I'll probably just do one Overwatch stream, but I am looking to upgrade this week, hopefully from the Switch Lite over to an actual Switch so that I can stream my black market deals that I do on Animal Crossing with Reddit. And then also make sure that you tune in next week for the co-op stream that I'll be doing with Emma with Streets of Rage.
And the
which is a
Cringe
blast.
Cast on Wednesdays.
Yeah, we do cringe. Yeah, Cameron's name I forgot. So on Wednesday we'll be doing our Cringe with Us podcast that Cameron and I do weekly, and Kelly Nugent will be our returning guest. So please make sure that you are there, and also send in all of your Am I the Asshole or cringe content to my part of the Discord, the Homebuddies Discord. So I would love that. Thank you very much for doing that last week.
Excellent. And Jessica?
Oh yeah, my name is Jessica Nerdy on Twitch. I stream Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Cool. Thanks. And
Hell yeah.
Emma.
Yeah, you can find me at twitch.tv/Emma Fyffe. I'm playing Trials of Mana right now. The game pronounces it Mana. It's an ongoing fight.
Mana.
It's Mana, Andy. You get out of here with your toxicity.
Mana.
Oh my God. Trials of Mana. It's real fun. I'm having a great time. And yes, Janelle and I are going to figure out what day next week we are going to do another co-op stream of Streets of Rage. We are going to win this time. We made it about halfway through the game on Friday. So I have faith in us. We're training. We're going to be better at it next week. I did 1v1 a boss yesterday, though, which was actually probably the greatest thing I've ever achieved in life.
Watch the clip on our Twitter. We popped up. That was
It was very hype.
Yeah.
It was so hype. It was so hype.
Cool. And you can watch my streams right here, Monday through Friday in the morning. Mythology on Monday, Toys on Tuesday, Warhammer on Wednesday. It's a bunch of really geeky, nerdy stuff if you are not already familiar with it. And we should say also follow Cameron Rice if you're not already. He had something really cool to do tonight. So of course,
yeah, it's a good opportunity.
Yes, a good opportunity. But we're very happy to have Bert on as our guest. Thank you so much, Bert,
Most
for being
people
here.
confuse me for Cameron, so it works out.
That was my joke earlier too. I said, "Oh, that's perfect," because apparently people.
Wow.
I wish I was joking. It's
No, he was a grievance over at Hyper.
No comments.
Yep.
Cool. So yeah, and if anybody is interested in talking more about this play or about Greek mythology in general, like I said, swing by Monday and we'll talk about it. We'll do a debrief afterward. Cool. So thank you everybody who tuned in, and
That's so cool.
yeah, come and join us on the Homebuddies Discord.
So much fun, Scott.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.